So I want to first talk to you guys about a few people whom I take inspiration from. I think they are great people. Let's go in a clockwise direction. First one is Nelson Mandela, who fought against apartheid in South Africa. He was jailed for 28 years, and then finally, of course, Africans did get liberty. He came out, he became the president. We know the story. Do you know who's the lady next to him? Savitribai Phule. Now, she is considered to be one of the first feminists of India. She is the one who built the first school solely for educating women in India. Despite being a victim of child marriage herself in her life, he and her husband, I must say, both of them were helping out to educate young girls in child marriage and give equality to women in India. If we have women faculty here today, women students here today, if we see women achieving great things for our country today, we all owe it to her. Now, Martin Luther King Jr., he fought against segregation in the US, the kind of apartheid they had back then. Slavery was abolished in his time, but still Africans were not given equal rights. They were not treated as equal citizens. So he fought for that, ended up losing his life, but finally he managed to achieve his dream. Below that, we have Abraham Lincoln, the first white president to speak up against slavery. Up until then, no other president spoke up against the immorality of using another human being as a slave. He was the first to do that, first to challenge, led to a civil war. Many died, but in the end, slavery as we know it was abolished. We all know who the person in the bottom is, from Tamil Nadu, Periyar. He is a person who questioned and challenged the discrimination happening due to the caste system here in India. And he is very well known and beloved because he questioned and wanted to bring equal rights to all people and say that just because a person is born to a particular job or a particular caste or a particular group doesn't mean that they do not deserve equal rights. And last but definitely not least, we have Mahatma Gandhi. Now we all know Gandhi, we call him as the father of our nation, showed the entire world what satyagraha is, fighting without violence. In fact, he was an inspiration for both Mandela and for Martin Luther King. Now, when we look at these people here collectively today, what kind of words come in our mind? We would call them as pioneers, forerunners, freedom fighters, great people. Would you use these adjectives to describe them? Yeah? Well, what if I use the word controversial? Do you consider these people to be controversial people? Now, if we live today in this modern day and time, we don't consider Savitribai Phule or Martin Luther King to be controversial because they have achieved what they set out to achieve. We live in a world right now where women are supposed to be given equal rights, where at least on paper, where Africans are supposed to be given equal rights, at least on paper. So, in today's modern day and age, through this lens, if we look at them, they don't seem controversial. But back in their time, did you know that everyone, majority of the public, hated every single one of them? Are you aware of that? You know why? Because back then, when they were first fighting, they, through their speeches and through their questions and their way of thinking, they were shaking the foundation, the very fabric of society, because they were trying to wake people up to an injustice that had been normalized during their time. Although we look at them today, belovedly, they were all considered controversial and they were hated during that time. Now, I am not here to stand and say I am a greater person as these people are, but I do want to say that the message I want to spread here today is as important as the message that they spoke about during their times. That my message is also as controversial as whatever they spoke about in their times. Now, my message is not controversial because I speak for violence or discrimination or hatred towards anybody, but rather my message is controversial because I speak against violence, hatred and discrimination in a society where violence, hatred and discrimination towards animals has been normalized. Think about that for a moment. If a message of peace and non-violence is considered as controversial, then that must mean that bloodshed and violence is the norm of the society.